Chioma lunged for the steering wheel, yanking it with all her strength. The driver shouted in panic, swerving violently across the highway. Horns blared as the man beside her tried to pull her back, but she held on, ignoring her pregnant belly pressing against the seat. "No," she screamed. She twisted, elbowing him and kicking backward, desperate to stop the car. The driver overcorrected. The car spun. Once. Twice. Then metal screamed against metal, glass shattered, airbags exploded. Chioma was thrown against the door. Pain ripped through her side, but she pressed her hands to her belly. A kick. Her daughter was alive. Chioma scrambled, shattering the rear window and pulling herself onto the pavement. Bystanders rushed over as the kidnappers tried to move. A massive truck driver stepped forward, blocking the scarred man who glared at her. "Your husband will regret this," he hissed, but then he fled into the crowd. Chioma sank to the ground, trembling, bleeding, holding her baby bump. A nurse knelt beside her. "You're moving. That's a good sign. But we need to get you to a hospital now." Sirens wailed. Chioma grabbed a stranger's phone, dialing the one person who could protect them both. Her husband, Shin Dae-young. The phone rang once. Twice. "Who is this?" Shin Dae-young's voice was sharp. Dangerous. He did not recognize the number, and he clearly expected bad news. Dae-young. Chioma's voice broke on his name. "It is me. It is Chioma." Chioma. The way he said her name. Like a prayer and a curse and a sob all at once. "Where are you? Are you hurt?" "The baby. We are okay. I got away. I crashed the car and I escaped. I am on the highway. There are people here helping me. The police and ambulances are coming." She heard him take a breath. Heard the tremor in it. Heard what sounded like a car door slamming. "Tell me exactly where you are. Right now. Do not leave out any details." Chioma asked the businessman, who gave her the highway name, the direction they were traveling, and the nearest exit number. She repeated everything to Shin Dae-young as clearly as she could. "I am getting in the car right now. I will be there in 15 minutes. Maybe less. Stay with people. Do not go anywhere alone. Do not trust anyone except the police. I am coming for you right now. Before we continue, I would really appreciate it if you could hit the like button and subscribe. Please drop a comment and let me know where you are watching from, because this story is about to take some unexpected turns. If you have not watched part 1 and part 2, please go back and watch them first so you will understand how we got here. The links to them are pinned in the comments. Thank you very much for being here. Now, let us dive right back into the story. Dae-young, they said. Whatever they said does not matter. The only thing that matters is that you are alive. That our daughter is alive. Everything else is just details we will handle later. Chioma could hear an engine roaring to life in the background. He was already driving. Probably too fast. "Be careful," she said. "Please do not crash trying to get to me. I will see you in less than 15 minutes. I love you more than anything in this world. I love you too." The call ended. Chioma sat on the highway pavement surrounded by strangers who had become her protectors. The nurse was gently cleaning the cuts on her arms with supplies from a first aid kit someone had produced. The businessman was standing guard beside her. The truck driver was still watching the gray-haired man in the wrecked car. 3 police cars arrived first, followed by 2 ambulances. Officers jumped out and immediately began securing the scene and interviewing witnesses. A paramedic ran straight to Chioma. "Ma'am, we need to get you to the hospital right now. You are pregnant, and you were just in a serious accident. My husband is coming. He is almost here. Can I wait for him?" The paramedic glanced at his partner, who was checking Chioma's blood pressure. "We really should not delay. Please, just a few minutes." He was so afraid. "He needs to see that I am okay." Something in Chioma's voice or her expression must have convinced them, because the paramedic nodded. 5 minutes. Then we have to go whether he is here or not. I am sorry, but your health and your baby's health have to be the priority. I understand. Thank you. A police officer approached. He was young, maybe late 20s, with kind eyes. "Ma'am, can you tell me what happened? The witnesses are saying you were kidnapped." "Yes. I was in a hospital parking lot. I was visiting my husband's father. Someone grabbed me from behind. They put something over my face. A cloth with chemicals on it. I passed out. When I woke up, I was in that car." She pointed to the wreck. 3 men. All Korean. They were taking me somewhere. I do not know where. So I fought back. I grabbed the steering wheel and forced us to crash. The officer was writing everything down. "Do you know who they were? Why they took you?" "My husband's family. His uncle. There is a power struggle in the family business. He wanted to use me as leverage. The officer's pen stopped moving. He looked up at her. Your husband is Shin Dae-young? Yes. The officer's expression changed. He exchanged a glance with his partner. Everyone in law enforcement knew that name, knew what family it belonged to, knew what it meant. That explains a lot, the officer said quietly. We will need a full statement from you at the hospital. But for now, just focus on getting medical attention. We have the man from the car in custody. He is injured but alive. He will be questioned. Thank you. And then Chioma saw him. A black car was weaving through the stopped traffic, driving on the shoulder of the highway to get around all the vehicles. It screeched to a stop just outside the police perimeter. The door flew open before the car had even fully stopped moving. Shin Dae-young got out and ran toward her like his life depended on it. A police officer tried to stop him. Sir, this is an active crime scene. You cannot. That is my wife, Shin Dae-young said. His voice was raw and desperate. He did not slow down. The officer looked at Chioma. She nodded. He stepped aside. Shin Dae-young reached her and dropped to his knees on the pavement beside where she sat. His hands were shaking as they cupped her face. His eyes were red. He had been crying. Shin Dae-young, who never cried, who was always controlled and calm, had tears streaming down his face. You are bleeding, he said. His thumb brushed over a cut on her forehead that she had not even known was there. It is just a scratch. You are hurt. There is blood on your clothes. Most of it is from the airbag. I am okay. You were in a car crash. You are 7 months pregnant. You are not okay. I am alive, Chioma said. She placed her hands over his, holding them against her face. We are both alive. That is what matters. He pulled her against him then, so tightly that she could barely breathe. His whole body was shaking. She realized he was still crying. Silent tears soaking into her hair. I thought I lost you, he whispered against the top of her head. When they called me. When that voice told me they had you. That they had taken you. I have never been so afraid in my entire life. Not when I was stabbed. Not when I was shot at. Never. Nothing has ever scared me like the thought of losing you. I am here, Chioma said into his chest. They did not win. I fought back. He pulled away just enough to look at her. His hands moved to her stomach, pressing gently. The baby. She is okay. She is moving. Kicking. Fighting just like her mother. Shin Dae-young let out a sound that was half laugh, half sob. He pressed his forehead against Chioma's, closing his eyes. You crashed the car. While you were inside it. It was the only option I had. You could have been killed. But I was not. I am right here. The paramedic cleared his throat. Sir, we really need to take her to the hospital now. She needs a full examination. The baby needs to be monitored. Shin Dae-young nodded without taking his eyes off Chioma. I am coming with her. Of course. They helped Chioma onto a stretcher and loaded her into the ambulance. Shin Dae-young climbed in beside her and immediately took her hand, lacing their fingers together. He had not let go of her since he had arrived. Like he was afraid she would disappear if he did. Park appeared at the ambulance door just before they closed it. Boss, I will follow in the car. Your brother is already at the hospital. Your father wants to see you as soon as possible. Shin Dae-young nodded. His jaw was tight. Did you find them? The two who got away? Not yet. But we have people looking. They will not get far. When you find them, bring them to the estate. Alive. My uncle is going to answer for what he did today. And he is going to do it in front of the entire family. Park's expression was cold. It will be my pleasure, boss. The ambulance doors closed. The vehicle started moving, sirens wailing. Chioma lay back on the stretcher, exhaustion finally catching up with her. Every part of her body hurt. Her hands were cut and bruised. Her ribs ached. Her head was pounding. But she was alive. Her baby was alive. And Shin Dae-young was beside her, holding her hand like it was the only thing anchoring him to reality. What happens now? Chioma asked quietly. Shin Dae-young's thumb traced circles on the back of her hand. It was a gesture he did when he was thinking, when he was trying to stay calm. Now we make sure you and the baby are completely okay. That is the only thing I care about right now. Everything else can wait. And after that, his expression darkened. The grief and fear in his eyes was replaced by something colder. Harder. More dangerous. After that, my uncle learns what happens when you threaten my family. He crossed a line today. A line that cannot be uncrossed. And there will be consequences. What kind of consequences? The permanent kind. Before Chioma could ask what he meant, they arrived at the hospital. The ambulance doors flew open, and suddenly there were doctors and nurses everywhere. They transferred Chioma to a hospital bed and wheeled her quickly through the corridors toward the maternity ward. Shin Dae-young walked beside the bed, still holding her hand, not letting go for even a second. They took her directly to an examination room. A doctor came in immediately. She was in her 50s with gentle eyes and calm hands. Hello, Chioma. I am Dr. Kim. I understand you were in a car accident while pregnant. Yes. The car flipped. Or rolled. I am not sure. But I got out. I escaped. Dr. Kim was already examining her, checking her pupils, listening to her lungs, palpating her ribs carefully. Does this hurt? Yes. Scale of 1 to 10? Maybe a 6? It hurts, but I can breathe okay. Good. We're going to do an ultrasound right now to check on the baby. Then we will do x-rays of your ribs to make sure nothing is broken. And we will clean and bandage all these cuts. They brought in the ultrasound machine. Chioma lay back and lifted her shirt. The cold gel on her stomach made her flinch. But then the image appeared on the screen, and she forgot about everything else. Her daughter. Right there. Moving and alive. Perfect. Dr. Kim moved the wand around, checking different angles, measuring different things. She was quiet and focused. Chioma watched her face for any sign of concern, any indication that something was wrong. Finally, Dr. Kim smiled. Your daughter is completely fine. Strong heartbeat. Good movement. No signs of distress. You were very lucky. The relief was so powerful that Chioma started crying. Not from pain or fear this time. Just pure, overwhelming relief. Shin Dae-young leaned down and kissed her forehead. His hand was shaking where it rested on her shoulder. She is okay. Our daughter is okay. She is a fighter, Dr. Kim said. Just like her mother, from what I understand. Now let us take care of you. They cleaned and bandaged all of Chioma's cuts. The one on her palm needed stitches. So did the one above her eye. The x-rays showed bruised ribs but nothing broken. Dr. Kim said she was incredibly lucky. A crash that severe while pregnant could have resulted in much worse outcomes. They moved Chioma to a private room to rest and be monitored for a few hours. Shin Dae-young sat in the chair beside her bed. He had not let go of her hand since they arrived. You should call your family, Chioma said. Your father. Your brother. They must be worried. I texted them while you were getting x-rays. They know you are okay. My father wants to see us, but I told him it would have to wait until you were cleared by the doctors. Is he angry? He is furious. But not at us. At his brother. At what happened today. Shin Dae-young's expression was grim. The family council has been called. It will be tonight. Everyone will be there. Will I have to go? Not if you do not want to. You should rest. No, Chioma said firmly. She tried to sit up, but her ribs protested. She settled for propping herself up on the pillows. I want to be there. Your uncle did this to me. To us. He needs to see that it failed. He needs to see that I am not broken or afraid. Chioma, I am coming to that meeting. You can argue with me all you want, but it will not change my mind. Shin Dae-young looked at her for a long moment. Then he shook his head with something that might have been a smile if the situation had not been so serious. You are terrifying when you are determined. Has anyone ever told you that? You might have mentioned it once or twice. Fine. But if you feel tired or unwell, if anything hurts, you tell me immediately and we leave. Deal. Deal. There was a knock on the door. Shin Dae-young's mother entered, followed by his brother. Both of them looked shaken and upset. His mother went straight to Chioma. She took her hands carefully, mindful of the bandages. Tears were running down her face. I am so sorry, she said. Her voice was thick with emotion. I am so ashamed of what my brother-in-law did. You could have died. The baby could have died. Because of our family politics. Because of greed and cruelty. It was not your fault, Chioma said gently. I should have known he would do something like this. I should have protected you better. She looked at Shin Dae-young. Both of you. Shin Dae-young's brother spoke. The family council meeting is set for tonight at 8. Father is insisting on attending despite the doctor's concerns. He says this is his responsibility. That he needs to be there when justice is served. What about the uncle? Shin Dae-young asked. Has he been found? Park's people tracked him to a safe house on the edge of the city. He does not know yet that Chioma escaped. He thinks his plan is still working. Good. Let him think that. It will make tonight more satisfying. His mother looked at Chioma again. You should rest, dear. You have been through something terrible. You do not need to attend the meeting. I want to be there, Chioma said. Are you sure? No one would blame you for staying here where it is safe. I am sure. His mother nodded slowly. Then we will make sure you are comfortable. I will bring you proper clothes. Something appropriate for the council. She looked at Shin Dae-young. Your father wants to speak with you before the meeting. Alone. Shin Dae-young looked at Chioma. She nodded. Go. I will be fine here. Your mother and brother will stay with me. He hesitated, clearly reluctant to leave her even for a moment. But finally he stood. He leaned down and kissed her forehead. I will be back in 30 minutes. I will be here. After Shin Dae-young left, his mother sat in the chair he had vacated. She still looked shaken. Can I ask you something? Of course. When you were in that car, when those men had you, were you afraid? Chioma thought about it. Yes. I was terrified, but I was also angry. And I knew that if I did not fight back, I might never see my husband or my daughter again. So I fought. His mother smiled through her tears. You are stronger than I ever was. When I was young, I let people make decisions for me. I let fear control me. But you fight back. You do not let anyone make you a victim. She reached out and touched Chioma's hand gently. My son is very lucky to have you. I am lucky to have him too. They sat in comfortable silence for a while. His brother made phone calls in the corner, coordinating security for the evening's meeting. His mother told Chioma stories about Shin Dae-young as a child. Happy memories from before the family business had taken over their lives. 30 minutes later, Shin Dae-young returned. His expression was hard to read, but there was something resolved in his eyes. Like he had made a decision and there was no going back. How is your father? Chioma asked. Dying, but determined. He wants to be at the meeting tonight. The doctors tried to talk him out of it, but he refused to listen. Shin Dae-young sat back down beside Chioma. He told me some things. About the family. About what he wants to happen tonight. About what happens after he is gone. What did he say? That sometimes the only way to end a war is with overwhelming force. That mercy to the wicked is cruelty to the innocent. Shin Dae-young looked at her. He gave me his blessing to do what needs to be done. Chioma understood what he was not saying. Tonight was going to change everything. Several hours later, after the doctors had cleared Chioma to leave with strict instructions to return immediately if she felt any pain or discomfort, they got ready for the family council meeting. Shin Dae-young's mother had brought a traditional Korean dress for Chioma. It was deep red silk, the color of blood and power. The dress had been altered to accommodate her pregnant belly. When Chioma looked at herself in the mirror, she barely recognized the woman staring back. She looked like she belonged in this world of power and danger. They drove to the family estate in a convoy of 3 cars. Security was everywhere. Armed guards at every turn. This was not just a family meeting. This was a trial. The estate was even more impressive than Chioma had imagined. A massive compound with traditional Korean architecture mixed with modern security systems. High walls. Multiple buildings. Gardens that probably looked beautiful in daylight, but now just looked dark and foreboding. They were led to the main hall. It was enormous. Traditional wood floors and sliding paper doors mixed with modern lighting and sound systems. Rows of cushioned seats were arranged in a semicircle facing a raised platform at the front of the room. The hall was already full. Easily 100 people. Maybe more. All dressed formally. All turning to watch as Chioma and Shin Dae-young entered. Chioma walked beside her husband with her head held high. She could feel every eye on her. Could hear the whispers. The pregnant woman who was kidnapped this morning. The one who fought back and crashed the car. The one who escaped. She was already becoming a legend in this world. They took their seats at the front of the hall. The seats of honor and power. Shin Dae-young's mother sat on one side of Chioma. His brother sat on the other side of Shin Dae-young. Park and several other trusted men stood behind them, hands resting near concealed weapons. The room gradually fell silent as more people arrived and took their seats. Family heads from all over the country. Business associates. Advisors. All the most powerful people in the organization. And then the doors opened and Shin Dae-young's father was wheeled into the room. He looked like death itself. His skin was paper-thin and gray. His breathing was labored even with the oxygen tank beside his wheelchair. His clothes hung off his shrinking frame. But his eyes were still sharp and clear and blazing with fury. The room went absolutely silent. A young man pushed the wheelchair to the front of the room, positioning it on the raised platform where everyone could see. Shin Dae-young's father looked out at the assembled crowd. When he spoke, his voice was weak, but somehow it still carried to every corner of the hall. Thank you all for coming on such short notice. We are here tonight to address a crime that cannot be ignored. A crime that violates the most sacred rules of this family. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. My brother, he continued, kidnapped my son's wife. My pregnant daughter-in-law. He drugged her. He threw her in a car with armed men. He planned to use her and my unborn grandchild as bargaining chips in his pathetic quest for power. The murmurs grew louder. Shock and anger mixed together. Where is he? Someone called out from the back. Where is your brother now? He will be here, Shin Dae-young's father said. He does not know yet that his plan failed. That Chioma crashed the car and escaped. That she fought off 3 armed men while 7 months pregnant and saved herself. He thinks he still has leverage. He is about to learn otherwise. As if on cue, the doors opened again. Shin Dae-young's uncle walked in. He was smiling, confident. He walked straight down the center aisle toward the front of the room like he owned the place. Like he had already won. Brother, he said to Shin Dae-young's father. I assume my nephew has finally come to his senses and is ready to. He stopped. He had finally looked at the seats of honor. He had seen Chioma, sitting there beside Shin Dae-young. Alive. Free. Unharmed except for some bandages. The color drained from his face. No, he whispered. That is not possible. How did you think my wife was helpless? Shin Dae-young stood. His voice was cold and controlled and more dangerous than any shouting could have been. Did you think she would sit quietly while your men drove her to whatever hell you had planned for her? The men I hired were professionals. They were supposed to. Your professionals are in custody, Park said from his position behind Shin Dae-young. 2 of them are in the hospital. 1 is in a police cell. They are currently being questioned. I am sure they will have many interesting things to say about who hired them and why. The uncle's confidence crumbled completely. He looked around the room at all the faces watching him. Some looked shocked. Others looked disgusted. None looked sympathetic. This was a misunderstanding, he said. His voice had lost its power. I never meant for anyone to get hurt. I was just trying to. You drugged a pregnant woman, Shin Dae-young's mother said. She had stood up as well. Her voice was shaking with rage. You put my grandchild in danger. You violated every code of honor this family has ever had. There is no misunderstanding here. There is only crime and consequence. Shin Dae-young's father spoke again. I call for a vote. All those in favor of stripping my brother of his position, his title, his assets, and all family privileges, raise your hands. Hands went up. One by one. Dozens of them. Then more. Soon every single person in the hall had their hand raised. Not one person voted against it. The uncle looked around in disbelief and growing panic. You are all making a mistake. My nephew has been gone for years. He married a foreigner. He knows nothing about running this family. I am the only one with the experience and the strength. You are weak, one of the family heads said. She was an older woman with steel-gray hair and eyes like flint. Truly strong leaders do not need to kidnap pregnant women to achieve their goals. You are a coward, and you disgrace this family by even being in this room. This is not over, the uncle said. He was backing toward the door now. This is not. You are right, Shin Dae-young said. He had not raised his voice once during this entire confrontation. But now he took a step forward, and the uncle actually flinched. This is not over, because you do not just get to walk away from what you did. Guards restrain him. 4 men appeared from the sides of the room. They grabbed the uncle by his arms before he could react. He struggled and shouted, but it was useless. What are you doing? The uncle demanded. You cannot do this. The council has already voted. I have been banished. That is the end of it. Banishment would be merciful, Shin Dae-young's father said. But mercy to you would be cruelty to every person you would hurt in the future. You tried to kill me. You kidnapped a pregnant woman. You have shown no remorse. No understanding of the severity of your crimes. So we are implementing a different consequence. What consequence? Shin Dae-young answered. You are going to prison. Real prison. Not a comfortable exile where you can plot your revenge. We have evidence of your crimes. The men you hired are testifying against you. The police have been contacted. You will face actual justice. The uncle's eyes went wide with terror. No, you cannot. If I go to prison, I will expose everything. The family businesses. The illegal operations. I will bring us all down. The family has already cleaned up its operations, Shin Dae-young's brother said. Over the past 6 months, we have been systematically moving away from illegal activities. By the time your trial happens, there will be nothing for you to expose except your own crimes. The uncle was dragged toward the door. He was screaming now, making threats, making promises of revenge. But no one was listening. The guards took him away, and the doors closed behind them. The hall was silent for a long moment. Then Shin Dae-young's father spoke one more time. My son, Shin Dae-young, step forward. Shin Dae-young walked to where his father sat in the wheelchair. He knelt beside him so they were at eye level. His father placed a trembling hand on his head. I name you the head of this family. Not because you are my son, not because of blood or tradition, but because you have proven yourself in ways I never could. You built an organization through respect, not fear. You earned loyalty instead of demanding it. And today, your wife showed the kind of courage and strength that proves you chose well, that you lead well, that you will protect what matters. He looked out at the assembled crowd. All in favor of Shin Dae-young as the next family head, raise your hands. Every hand went up. No hesitation. No debate. Everyone in the hall agreed. Shin Dae-young bowed deeply to his father. I will not let you down. I know you will not. His father smiled. It was weak but genuine. Now help me back to the hospital. I am very tired. The meeting ended. People came forward one by one to pledge their support to Shin Dae-young, to bow to him and to Chioma, to acknowledge the new order of things. When everyone had finally left, Chioma and Shin Dae-young stood alone in the great hall. Park had taken Shin Dae-young's father and mother back to the hospital. His brother was handling the cleanup and making sure the uncle was actually handed over to police custody with all the appropriate evidence. Chioma leaned against her husband. Exhaustion was catching up with her again. Is it really over? She asked. Not completely, Shin Dae-young admitted. My uncle still has some loyal followers. There will be power struggles as we transition to legitimate operations. But the worst is over. He cannot hurt us anymore. What happens now? Now we focus on the family, on preparing for our daughter, on building the life we always wanted. Can we really do that? Now that you are the family head. Shin Dae-young turned to face her fully. He cupped her face in his hands. I can run the family from anywhere. My brother will handle day-to-day operations here. I will make the major decisions remotely. We are going home to Portland. We are having our baby. We are living the life we choose. This is not negotiable. Chioma smiled despite her exhaustion. What if I said I wanted to stay here? Help transform the family operations. Then we would stay. But I know you better than that. You hate this world. You are only tolerating it because you love me. That is true. But I also respect what you are trying to build here. A better legacy for Hope. Hope. Our daughter. I want to name her Hope. Because she is everything we hoped for. Everything we fought for. Shin Dae-young's eyes filled with tears. Hope. I love it. They stood there in the empty hall, holding each other, planning a future that finally felt possible. Over the next few days, Shin Dae-young's father deteriorated rapidly. They spent as much time as they could at his bedside. He told them stories, shared regrets, expressed hopes for the future. On the third night, he called them both to his bed. He was barely conscious, struggling to breathe even with oxygen. I want to give you something, he whispered. All my legitimate business holdings. Hotels, restaurants, real estate, worth over $500 million. I am putting it all in a trust for your daughter. For Hope. Chioma gasped. That is too much. We cannot. It is already done. The lawyers filed everything today. She will inherit it when she turns 25. Until then, you manage it for her. He looked at Shin Dae-young. Use it to build the life you want. Use it to complete the transformation of the family. Make everything legitimate. Make it something Hope can be proud of. I will, Shin Dae-young promised through his tears. Thank you, Father. For everything. Tell her about me. Tell her that her grandfather made many mistakes. But his last act was trying to give her a better future. His breathing was getting shallower. I can rest now, knowing the family is in good hands. Knowing my grandchild will be protected. He closed his eyes. He died 2 hours later with his wife and both sons at his bedside. The funeral was massive. Hundreds of people came from all over the world to pay their respects. Shin Dae-young stood through the entire ceremony with stoic dignity. But Chioma could see the grief in every line of his body, could feel it in the way his hand trembled when she held it. After the funeral, there was a reception at the estate. More people came to offer condolences and to pledge loyalty to the new family head. Shin Dae-young handled it all with grace and strength. But Chioma could see that he was reaching his limit. Finally, late that night, they returned to their hotel room. The moment the door closed, Shin Dae-young sat on the edge of the bed and put his head in his hands. His shoulders started shaking. Chioma sat beside him and pulled him close. He buried his face in her shoulder and cried. Deep, wrenching sobs that came from somewhere deep inside. I never got to tell him I forgave him, Shin Dae-young said between sobs. For all the years he was a terrible father. For all the mistakes he made. For choosing the family over me again and again. I never told him that I understood. That I forgave him. He knew, Chioma said gently. She stroked his hair. The fact that you came back when he asked. The fact that you took on the family leadership. That told him everything he needed to know. Your actions showed him you had forgiven him. I wanted to say the words. I know, but sometimes actions speak louder. and your actions showed him you loved him despite everything. They held each other until the tears stopped, until Shin Dae-young's breathing steadied, until the grief became something they could carry instead of something that was crushing them. They stayed in Korea for another week to handle the transition. Shin Dae-young met with every family head individually. He laid out his vision for the future. Gradual move to legitimate business. End of violence as a primary tool. Building something sustainable. Some were skeptical. Others were excited. But all of them agreed to give him a chance. Finally, they boarded a plane back to Portland. Chioma was 8 months pregnant by then. The doctor had cleared her to fly, but said this would be her last trip until after the baby was born. She was relieved. She wanted to be home. She wanted to sleep in her own bed. She wanted to prepare for hope in the nursery they had built together. When they landed in Portland and drove to their house, Chioma started crying the moment she saw it. The same garden, the same front door, the same quiet neighborhood where no one knew who they were or what they had survived. "We are home," Shin Dae-young said. He took her hand. Really home. Finally, they spent the next weeks preparing, finishing the nursery, going to doctor appointments, taking birthing classes. For the first time in months, life felt almost normal. But reality had a way of intruding. One afternoon, Chioma was alone in the kitchen making lunch when her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost did not answer, but something made her pick up. "Hello. Hello, Chioma." The voice was familiar. Cold. Shin Dae-young's uncle. Her blood went cold. "How did you get this number? I have friends everywhere, even in prison. I just wanted to call and congratulate you. You won. You and my nephew. You got everything. What do you want?" "Just to tell you that I am leaving the country as soon as I am released on bail. Going somewhere your husband's reach does not extend. I am done fighting. You tried to kidnap me. You put my baby in danger. And now you are just going to walk away. The charges will not stick. My lawyers are very good, but I am smart enough to know when I have lost. So yes, I am walking away. You can tell my nephew that. Why are you really calling? Because I wanted you to know something." His voice changed slightly. "What you did in that car. Fighting back like that while pregnant. Crashing the vehicle to escape. It reminded me of someone. Of myself, actually, when I was young and foolish and thought I could change the world." He paused. "You are stronger than I expected. Braver. Maybe you really will be good for the family. I do not want your approval. And yet you have it. Goodbye, Chioma. Take care of my nephew. He is luckier than he knows." The line went dead. Chioma stared at her phone for a long moment. Then she immediately called Shin Dae-young, who was at his home office working. "The uncle called me," she said. "What?" His voice immediately went hard. "What did he say?" She told him everything. When she finished, there was silence on the other end. "He is getting out on bail," Shin Dae-young said finally. "My brother told me yesterday. But he is being monitored. If he tries to leave the country, he will be arrested again. Do you think he will really just walk away? I think he knows he has lost. His loyal followers have abandoned him. His assets are frozen. His reputation is destroyed. He has nothing left to fight with. So it is really over? It is really over." Chioma felt something release in her chest. A tension she had been carrying for months. "Good. Because I do not want to think about him anymore. I want to focus on our family. That is exactly what we are going to do." 3 weeks later, at 2:30 in the morning, Chioma's water broke. She woke Shin Dae-young, who immediately started panicking in the controlled way he did when he was trying very hard not to actually panic. He called the hospital, got Chioma's bag, helped her to the car. He drove carefully but quickly to the hospital, holding her hand at every red light, telling her to breathe, promising her everything would be okay. At the hospital, they were taken directly to a delivery room. The next 6 hours were a blur of contractions and breathing exercises and pain medication and more pain. Shin Dae-young stayed by her side the entire time. He held her hand, wiped the sweat from her forehead, reminded her that she was the strongest person he had ever met, that if she could fight off kidnappers, she could definitely do this. At 8:47 in the morning, hope came into the world. 7 pounds, 2 ounces. A full head of dark hair. Eyes that would eventually turn dark brown like her father's. Lungs that worked perfectly, as evidenced by the screaming. When the nurse placed Hope in Chioma's arms, everything else ceased to exist. The exhaustion, the pain, the fear about the future. There was only this perfect tiny person who was part of her and part of Shin Dae-young. "She is beautiful," Shin Dae-young whispered. He was crying openly, tears streaming down his face without shame or restraint. "She is absolutely perfect. She looks like you. She looks like us." Shin Dae-young reached down and very gently touched Hope's tiny hand. She immediately wrapped her fingers around his, gripping with surprising strength. He let out a sound that was half laugh, half sob. "Welcome to the world, Hope," he said. "Your mother and I promise to love you and protect you for as long as we live. We promise to give you every opportunity. We promise to build you a better world than the one we inherited. We promise you will never be afraid. We promise you will always be safe." Chioma looked at her husband making promises to their daughter and felt her heart expand in a way she had not thought possible. This man, this complicated, dangerous, gentle man who had walked into her life 2 years ago and changed everything. The first months with Hope were exhausting and wonderful. Chioma had never been so tired or so happy. Shin Dae-young was a natural father. He changed diapers without complaint. He walked Hope around the house at 3 in the morning when she would not sleep. He sang Korean lullabies that his mother had taught him over video chat. And slowly, deliberately, he began stepping back from the active management of the family business. He delegated more to his brother. He built systems that did not require his constant attention. He was creating something that could run without him being in Korea. 6 months after Hope was born, Chioma suggested they renew their vows. "We got married under such strange circumstances," she said. "And we renewed them once already, right after you took over the family. But I want to do it again. Just us. A real celebration of choosing each other. Of building this life together." Shin Dae-young loved the idea. They planned a small ceremony in their backyard. Invited both families to fly in. Chioma's parents and siblings. Shin Dae-young's mother and brother. A handful of close friends. The ceremony was held on a beautiful Saturday afternoon. The garden was in full bloom. White flowers everywhere. A small arch covered in roses. Chioma wore a simple white dress. Hope was in her arms, wearing a tiny white dress of her own. Shin Dae-young wore a suit and stood across from them, looking more handsome than she had ever seen him. They had written new vows for this ceremony. Shin Dae-young spoke first. His voice was steady, but his eyes were bright with emotion. 2 years ago, I walked into a church and saw someone who needed help. I made a choice in that moment that changed both of our lives. I made mistakes along the way. I manipulated situations. I made decisions for you that I had no right to make. But through all of that, I loved you. And watching you fight for our daughter. Watching you crash a car to escape danger. Watching you stand in front of an entire organization and refuse to be intimidated. All of that has only made me love you more. You are the strongest, bravest, most remarkable person I have ever known. And I promise to spend every day for the rest of my life being worthy of you." Chioma was crying by the time he finished. She shifted Hope in her arms and looked at the man who had saved her and challenged her and loved her. "When you walked into my wedding, I thought you were insane. I had no idea who you were or what you wanted. But you offered me something I desperately needed. A way out. A fresh start. A chance at something better. And yes, you made mistakes. Yes, you did things the wrong way sometimes. But you also kept every promise you made. You chose me over your family. Over power. Over everything. You built a life with me. You gave me this perfect daughter. You showed me what real love looks like. And I choose you. Not because I have to. Not because of circumstances or obligation. But because you are my person. My partner. My home. I choose you every day. For the rest of my life." They exchanged rings they had designed together. Simple bands engraved with the date they had really chosen each other. When the officiant pronounced them husband and wife, Shin Dae-young kissed Chioma with their daughter between them. And everyone cheered. The reception was joyful. Both families mingled and laughed and bonded over Hope, who was passed from person to person and adored by everyone. Chioma's mother and Shin Dae-young's mother were already planning their next visit and arguing playfully over who Hope looked more like. As the sun began to set, Chioma and Shin Dae-young stood at the edge of their garden. Hope was asleep in her father's arms, completely peaceful. "Do you ever regret it?" Chioma asked. "Giving up the power and the empire?" Shin Dae-young looked down at their sleeping daughter. "I did not give it up. I transformed it into something better. And I gained so much more than I ever had before. I have you. I have hope. I have a life that means something beyond just accumulating power. There is no comparison. Your brother says the family business will be completely legitimate within the year. Yes, all the illegal operations are gone. Everything is clean. Hope will inherit something she can be proud of. And what will you do with all your free time?" He smiled. "I will be a husband and father. I will teach Hope Korean. I will take her to the park. I will help her with her homework. I will be there for every moment of her life. That is the only job I care about now." Chioma leaned her head against his shoulder. "I love you. I love you too. more than I ever thought possible. They stood together as the stars came out. And Chioma thought about the woman she had been 2 years ago, standing at an altar in a wedding dress, humiliated and broken, watching the man she thought she loved walk away. That woman could never have imagined this life, could never have imagined finding love in chaos, becoming a mother, building a family worth fighting for. But here she was, living a life she never planned for. A life that was messy and complicated and sometimes still scary. But it was also beautiful. It was real. It was worth every single moment of pain and fear and uncertainty it took to get here. And as she stood there with her husband and her daughter under the stars, Chioma knew with absolute certainty that she would not change a single thing. Not the humiliation at the altar. Not the manipulation. Not the kidnapping or the crash or any of it. Because all of it had led her here. To this moment. To this family. To this love. And that made everything worth it. Thank you so much for staying with Chioma and Shin Dae-young through all 3 parts of this story. From the moment Trevor humiliated her at the altar to the moment Shin Dae-young walked in and changed everything. From the revelations and betrayals to fighting off kidnappers while pregnant. From family councils and funerals to finally finding peace and building the family they always wanted. What moment hit you the hardest? Was it when Chioma crashed the car to escape? When Shin Dae-young broke down seeing her safe? The family council confrontation? The uncle's final phone call? The birth of hope? The vow renewal? Comment below and let me know which part was your favorite. Tell me what you would have done differently if you were in their situation. Did Shin Dae-young make the right choices? Did Chioma deserve her happy ending? If you love this story, hit that like button and subscribe for more stories like this one. Share this with anyone who loves romance, danger, and characters who fight for their happiness. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching all the way to the end. And I will see you in the next one.